Hello everyone, I'm Penrose776 here for another banner. We're going in pretty dang fast. New Rearmed Hero. Rearmed Heroes, we had Leaf last time. Who is it this time? Who is that? Oh, that's a Grima. That's a Grima. How many Grimas are we on right now? Is that 5? 5 Grimas, I think? Yep, Robin. A colorless armored dragon. That's a save skill. I see a save skill there. Well, let's take a look at this then. So, first things first, this tells us what game the banner is for. Second things second, the rearmed heroes, the arcane weapon heroes are really good. Like Leaf we saw last time, and now this one, the fact that they're able to fodder themselves off and also then stick around in your barracks makes them really good units to pull for fodder and really good merge projects both ways around, because you're getting those fancy new PRF weapons that are inheritable, you're getting all the expensive skills on them, you're getting to fodder them off, and you're getting to keep the unit afterwards. That's really efficient. Interesting that we're getting a Dragonstone one, though. Frankly, like, Leaf was sword. I was expecting maybe, I don't know, the other melee weapons, bow, basically anything except dragon I was expecting next, but no, Dragonstone it is, and this weapon is the Arcane Grima. Accelerate special trigger, cooldown count -1. Start of combat if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%. Grants attack speed def res +5 to unit during combat. Unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack, deals damage equal to 15% of unit's attack, including when dealing damage with a special trigger before combat, and restores 7 hit points to unit after combat, plus adaptive damage because we're a dragon. This is just a pretty decently solid all-round weapon, I think, which makes sense. It's a arcane weapon. They want to make it useful to as many units as possible. +5 to all stats is like the standard for a PRF level weapon in current year. Guaranteed follow-up attack, a lot of units can use that. 15% attack true damage is nice to have, especially if you've got a very high attack stat, which a lot of dragons do, and then healing afterwards. Dragons, I think, are one of the classes that really uses healing pretty well, because dragons have Dragon Wall access as like natural damage reduction, and some other sources of natural damage reduction as well, and the other dragon exclusive skills. There's really a lot you can do, and that of course makes hit points just in general better, because 7 hit points, you're getting 40% more hit points per hit point with damage reduction potentially. Pretty neat weapon in any case. Doesn't tell us a lot about the unit itself, but this is definitely the best inheritable Dragonstone out there. Not much doubt there. She has Pervis, which is telling us something about the unit, but we'll get there when we get there, because before we get there, in the A slot, Dragonhide. Neutralizes effective against armored bonuses. It's a PRF Surveillance Shield. Surveillance Shield, one of the strongest things an armor can have built into their kit, because if you're doing save nonsense, which this unit obviously is, then armor effective weapons are what you have to look out for. One of the big things that like save destroyers use is some kind of armor effective weapon, because of course every save unit is an armor by necessity, because those are the only units that can inherit it. So built-in Surveillance Shield, like there's a reason Brave Hector, Ascendant Eir are like the big units for save. That's the reason right there. If foe initiates combat, or if foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75% at start of combat, inflicts attack speed def res -8 on foe, and grants special cooldown charge +1 to unit per attack during combat. Okay. -8. 8. The number there, 8. That's huge. That's ridiculous. An 8-point all-stat swing is normally the kind of thing they only give to old units getting refined, so that they really want to catch up on stats. That's way too much, especially since you're also getting +5 to all stats from the PRF, the arcane weapon. This is a current generation or new generation armored dragon with an extra +13 to all stats, effectively. Just you know, basically, for the time being, this is like the premier stat stick of a Grima right here. For at least a little while, this is going to be pretty hard to overcome in terms of raw stats with anything. And then special cooldown +1 to unit per attack. Not unit's attack, not foe's attack, just any attack. Basically a full-on, like, you're getting more cooldown from everything. Which is pretty good with the B slot, Hardy Fighter. Now, Hardy Fighter being on an arcane unit is actually pretty good for all the people who want to run Hardy Fighter builds on their unit, and pretty terrifying for everyone else, because this now means you can run... You're basically, if you pull this unit, you can get 2 Hardy Fighters for the price of 1. Terrifying. Hardy Fighter, of course, one of the best units for safe skills, because special base damage reduction is one of the few things that we don't have a Pierce for, except for Nana. But if you're not named Nana, you can't go through it. You've just got to hit them when it's not up. And since Dragonhide is charging it on every attack, when it's not up is not going to be often. Okay? And in the C slot, AS near save. Attack speed near save actually is interesting because, Armored Dragon save unit, I wasn't really thinking this was going to be a fast unit, but if they, especially with a guaranteed follow-up attack in the weapon, but if they're giving her a speed save skill, maybe she is fast. That's terrifying to think about. At the very least, there are, like, fast armors aren't the biggest archetype right now, just because most armor-based stuff is designed around from being slow, with the exception of, like, that one green armor skill that I can never remember the name of because they're all fighters with different words, but potentially a fast armor here, which can be pretty scary for moderately fast attackers to deal with, because those are the units you generally bring because they're faster than armors, but not necessarily having to pump all their stats into speed like really fast nukes do. So if this is a unit that can actually outspeed people, then woo-wee, that's terrifying. Near save works, but this would also be a perfectly fine fast saver because dragons have access to distant counter dragon in the seal slot. So expect this as one of the prime fast savers as well. They've given us a bunch of really strong dragon fast savers recently. Dragon effective weapon stonks are going up. Yeah, all in all, this is a really, really high value unit to pull, I think. Wow. So who else from this game is even on the banner? Who else from this game even hasn't been added to FEH yet? That's the real question. Pretty much all of them are in, aren't they? Yet no damage from that Sword Knight. And, well, it's hard to say if they're doubling because of speed, because they get the guaranteed double anyway. Alright, new heroes. Who is that? Who is that? Wait a second. Yeah, that's Gregor. I'd recognize that voice anywhere. But the face is kind of more like he looks like a guy. No hard feelings. It's pretty cool to be just a guy in a world where a lot of people aren't just a guy. I can respect that. In any case, a day I never thought I would see coming. Gregor as a 5-star, like, actually valuable looking unit. Who would have thunk? Gregor was like obvious demote territory for me, but apparently they think we're gonna pull for Gregor, and they might be right. Let's see what he does. He is an infantry sword. He's armed with the Blade of Favors. Accelerate special trigger, cooldown count -1. At start of player phase or enemy phase, if any foes are within 3 rows or 3 columns centered on unit, inflicts attack speed defense -6 on those foes through their next actions, and grants attack speed defense +6 to unit for 1 turn. If the unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, inflicts penalty on foe's attack speed defense during combat equals 5 plus any current penalty on each of those stats. Example, foe has -7 penalty, inflicts attack -12, foe attack -19 total. Calculates each stat penalty independently, and reduces damage from foe's first attack during combat by 40%. Okay, so this is kind of a not exactly menace, glued to a kind of vulture-ish weapon, with just 40% damage reduction stuck onto it. Except, here's the really interesting thing, right? The words that stick out to me in this effect, because a lot of this is effects that we've seen in other places before, but the words that really stick out to me, at start of player phase or enemy phase, almost every unit in this game does their buff/debuff effects at the start of your phase, but never your opponent's phase. Your opponent's phase is for them and them alone. This is the first unit in the game to have an effect at the start of the opponent's phase. That's huge. I mean, it's not necessarily super huge here. It could be a little super huge, I mean, like if you've moved into a space. Basically, compared to like Menace and that sort of thing, where you had to have the enemy in range of you at the start of your turn, this is more usable for enemy phasing because you can move into range of the enemy, and then it goes off at the start of enemy phase and still has its effect. But in more general terms, there's a lot that could happen here. They could actually start printing skills that are able to interfere with the enemy being able to, at the start of their turn, during their turn, drop whatever debuffs on you they like. Because at the moment, they can drop whatever debuffs on you they like, and during their turn, there is nothing any of your units can do about it. Think about it. Aside from that, it seems like a decently strong unit. There's nothing particularly special going on here. The damage reduction is nice. The vulture effect is nice. The slaying is nice. It's all nice. But there's, aside from that one thing, triggering buffs and debuffs on enemy phase, it's very much this is a sword infantry weapon. There are a lot of sword infantry weapons that do, if not this exact thing, very similar things in terms of giving you a bunch of stats from some condition and having slaying and damage reduction built in. That being said, his stats seem interesting because there's no res there, but there is bonfire in his special slot, and in his A slot, solid ground 4. Grants attack defense +7, inflicts res -5. This is a counterpart to, of course, still water. This is also something to consider for any unit who is like what Stillwater did for the Elamine stat check on Anima Season. This can do things about the Miller stat check on Light and Dark Season. It gives you an option for raising visible defense that isn't Fury for one, and isn't Fortress defense res, which does raise visible defense but comes with an attack drop, and sometimes you really don't want to lose that attack stat on a unit just to raise your defense, right? So this is attack and defense in exchange for res instead. And if you're primarily fighting in melee, if you're covered by, for instance, a fast saver, then most of the time you're never going to be using that res stat. The only time you're using a res stat in melee is against dragons, normally. In the C slot, infantry null follow-up. It's a neat little skill. It is a neat little skill, that's just the truth. But I don't know, it's nothing particularly special. Doesn't really synergize with the rest of his kit so much. It's just a pure support skill for any other infantry units you're running him with. Still, Gregor seems pretty cool. Who's up next? Well, let's see his attack as well. Really ominous background going on here, by the way. Wonder what's up with that. Oh, I love his voice. Who are you? Oh, blue-haired woman. You have a name. Phila, that's it.
Wherever I go.
Yes, she is a lance flyer, which means she is very weak to arrows. Better watch out for those. The Rhine Lance inflicts speed defense -5 on foes within 2 spaces during combat. It's handy to have speed defense Rhine, whatever you call it, on a lance. It's pretty nice to have more options basically in the category of what I call support weapons, because not everyone wants a weapon that's purely benefiting themselves. The other one I think of a lot here is Love Candelabra. A lot of people running safe balls run Love Candelabra on 4 as their mythic, because 4 as the mythic isn't necessarily the unit they want fighting. Their safe units are fighting, but they can still make that weapon slot buff the save fall. And rain skills are very much the same thing, so this Rain Lance does that pretty well, I think. Iceberg. Okay, yeah, Pegasus Knight. High res is a pretty normal stat line for them. Brazen attack res 3. And this is an interesting one. They have given up on Pegasus Flight as a premium skill. Pegasus Flight now in what I assume is the 4-star pool, because this looks like a very 4-star unit. Is interesting. I mean, it's still hampered very much by the fact that there aren't really any units that can run Pegasus Flight to its full potential. Sure, some Pegasus Flyers have a high res stat, but do they have a higher res stat than actual tanks, which are the kind of units you're maybe trying to kill here? Because, like, if the enemy has low res? No, if the enemy has low defense, is what I was going to say, then you don't really care necessarily about decreasing that further, because you should already kill, right? If the enemy has high defense, maybe you do care about decreasing it, but does the enemy have high defense and low res? Most of the time, not. Unless they're named Arden. But in any case, it's a very extremely situational skill. So it was funny that they tried to make it the big flyer premium skill. Obviously that didn't work out. Now on a 4-star unit. Pretty interesting to see. Well, that's an interesting demote, at least, and I'm sure fans of her are glad that they're going to be able to merge her up in the Fire Emblem heroes. Let's see her fly about. Yep, there she is. She's on a Pegasus, all right.
With my life.
Might have some decent... Oh, 69. Nice. And, oh, of course, we saw the new Ascended hero in the Tempest Trials. It is, or at least it should be, Eir. Yes, Life Ascendant.
I cannot say that life in the realm of the dead was pleasant, but even so...
Yep, Green Dagger Cavalry, and she's gone from being kind of grey and, like, well, Realm of the Dead, to yellow and green and plants and yay. And, ooh, I see something interesting down there, but let's take a look up here first at the dagger. Ymir Ever-Living. Ymir, of course, we got a couple banners back. This is Ymir Ever-Living. She has turned into a weapon. Funniest shit I ever seen. Accelerate special trigger cooldown count -1 because Ascendant unit, everyone gets a slaying effect. If you initiates combat or foes range equals 2, grants attack speed defense res +5 during combat, and bonus to units attack during combat equal to 40% of the current HP of the ally with the second lowest current HP at start of combat. Excludes unit, maximum bonus of 20. If number of allies is less than or equal to 1, bonus equals 0. Okay. Neutralizes effects that prevent units follow-up attacks, and also, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25% and foe would reduce unit's HP to 0, unit survives with 1 HP. Once per combat, does not stack with non-special effects that allow units to survive with 1 HP if foe's attack would reduce HP to 0, and also it's a dagger, so it has dagger 7. I'm running out of lung capacity, people. Okay, let's break everything down. Slaying, great. Attack speed defense res +5. Pretty always, unless you're getting hit by a melee unit. Cool. Bonus to units attack during combat equal to some calculation based on HP. Basically, okay, second lowest current HP. So not the lowest current HP, the second lowest. And it goes up to 20, and it's 40% of the stat. So 20 divided by 0.4, I think that's 50 HP. So as long as you don't have 2 horribly damaged units, and you can get a unit up to 50 HP as your second least horribly damaged unit. So in A4A, that's going to be pretty easy thanks to mythic HP buffs. Or is it? Because mythics don't get mythic HP buffs on themselves. Okay, a little more complicated, but 50 is within reach as far as HP stats go. And even if you're not quite getting 50, you're getting close to 50 on most units, right? But in any case, plus 25 attack total from that effect. That seems pretty dang good, if you ask me. Pretty dang good. And then you've got your half-null follow-up and your miracle, which is basically guaranteeing that half-null follow-up is actually going to be useful, because, think about it, if you hit once and then get hit back, you can't hit a second time if you're dead, but this makes you not be dead. Smart. Draconic Aura boosts damage by 30% of units attack. Very good special to have when you're getting plus 25 attack from your weapon. Ha ha ha. Attack speed catch 4. Because, here's the thing, attack speed push 4 is passé now. Catch skills, they're the new wave. Pretty decent skill, pretty easy to proc these days, at least the attack speed +7 part. penalties you can throw around pretty easily as well, honestly. But it's a good skill. It gives you the numbers. We like numbers. Here's something really special. Mystic Boost 4. This is the third B slot to get a 4. And it's Mystic Boost. One of the best B slots around, honestly, but normally not running the B slot because there is a seal version of it. Admittedly, that's now true for also some of the other best B slots around. Looking at you, null follow-up, but Mystic Boost 4, here it is. Giving people a reason to go back to the B slot for it, maybe, as opposed to the S slot. Inflicts attack -5 on foe during combat. Disables foe's skills that calculate damage using the lower of foe's defense or res, and calculate damage from staff like other weapons. If foe uses staff, neutralizes effects that prevent units' counterattacks during combat and restores 10 HP to unit after combat. So it's the full Mystic Boost 3 package plus 3 extra HP. Or is it 4 extra HP? I can't remember how much Mystic Boost 3 is again. Well, more HP, plus, as well as nullifying Wrathful Staff, it also nullifies Dazzling Staff. So basically, staff units get fucked. And, to top it all off, comes with a flat attack -5 on foe as well. So, combining the healing and the -5 attack, this is a really strong survivability skill with an extra little niche unit for fighting dragons and starves and Regin, other units with adaptive damage. Very cool skill. Very, very cool skill. And in the C slot, Sparkling Boost, which is a skill that Air has. Start of turn, restores 10 HP to ally that has been dealt the most damage. Kind of a better... I've forgotten what the skill's even called. That's how little I use it. But the one that restores 10 HP to you, now you're just giving 10 HP to whoever's hurtiest. Pretty good if you're on a team that doesn't want to be hurty. Some teams, of course, do want to be hurty because they have low HP conditions. So maybe turn this off for those. And although healing is nice to be able to keep that current HP condition for getting the max attack stat from her weapon, keeping that topped up, 10 HP is kind of maybe just a little impactful for that, because 10 HP heal is only worth around like 2.5 points of attack out of the 20 she can get from that. So you might be better off just running some other source of healing instead. But, well, if you don't have another source of healing, it does do a pretty good job of just keeping your team topped off. So yeah, very cool kid, and this is an Ascendant unit as well, so you're going to be able to have a double trait, probably attack and speed are the two you're going for, because does this unit care about HP? Not really. They actually kind of want HP to be low so that they can get up to that 25% condition more easily. Like, think about it, if they're at like 40 hit points, they can heal back above that 25% condition with Mystic Boost 4. You know, you go down to 1, you heal back up to 11. If you've got 40 max HP, bingo bongo, you're already back above 25%. Okay? And for the same reasons, because they're relying on Miracle for survival, defense, res, don't really matter so much, honestly. So it's all about attack, it's all about speed. Yeah, there you go, I've built your unit for you. And of course, yeah, you're going to get a flower from them to give someone else. This could be a really threatening... Yeah, look at that. Attack plus 28. Kablam! And of course, new story chapter. Yep. That's Grima, all right. They're showing us Veronica looking all evil. Phila is for 4-star focus. And now they're going to show... Ooh! Didn't expect that. Rickon is non-focus, 3 and 4-star. Nice hat. I guess that makes sense because they do have to fill out the forging bonds. As for the GHB, let's take a look at that. I'll have to check Twitter for this one. It is... Yeah, keep telling us about Ascendant and Rearmed and all that stuff. Cervantes, okay. Mr. Mustache himself. That's going to be fun. Yeah. Rearmed Heroes, we know all about that. You can spark, of course. It's a new Heroes banner. You've always been able to do this. Tell me something I don't know. Ooh, Celestial Stone. Well, thanks everyone for coming along. This banner looks pretty worthwhile, honestly. Ascendant Eir looks like a really strong offensive unit who's able to stay alive without really needing to rely on any form of defensive stats, so she can focus all in on just a massive nuke. Ascendant Grima is both not Ascendant Grima. Rearmed Grima is both a really strong unit in her own right, but also excellent fodder. You get your save, you get your hardy, you get your new dragon weapon all in one, and it's also kind of a multi-purpose unit because they can be your near saver, they can be your far saver, they can be your wherever you are saver. Gregor is more of a Gregor sort of unit, but even if the fodder and the PRF aren't necessarily what you're looking for, that effect seems kind of promising in terms of the space of what they're going to be able to do in future or what they're willing to explore in future. And Phila is Phila. Well, thanks everyone for coming along. It's been great having you, and I'll see you all soon-ish. Ta-ra.